The meeting room on Station Harmony was huge. It could hold 1,000 beings, but today only 23 sat around the curved table. The air felt thick with tension. Everyone knew this meeting would change everything. Hyun-woo adjusted his simple black suit and looked around the room. He had been Earth's top diplomat for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like this. 12 different alien species sat across from him. Their ships surrounded every human world in space. For 3 months, no human ship could leave or enter their colonies. The leader of the meeting was Chancellor Vexmuth. His body looked like it was made of living crystal. Light moved through him in slow waves when he spoke. Next to him sat Prime Current Zephyrs, who looked like a cloud of gas held together by electricity. At the far end sat Node Prime 7743. A machine intelligence that spoke through a metal body covered in blinking lights. Ambassador Hyun-woo, Chancellor Vexmuth said. His voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. We have been patient with your species. Too patient, perhaps. Today this ends. Hyun-woo said nothing. He had learned long ago that silence made others reveal more than they wanted to. Your people have spread across 47 star systems in just 200 years, Prime Current Zephy said. The gas being's voice crackled like lightning. This expansion threatens the stability our council has maintained for 3,000 years. Admiral Ji-hai sat to Hyun-woo's right. She was young for an admiral, only 35, but her dark eyes missed nothing. She had commanded human fleets in the border conflicts with pirates. She knew what real war looked like. This was not war yet, but it was close. The problem is your technology, Node Prime 7743 said. Its voice came from speakers built into its chest. Your faster-than-light drives create dangerous rifts in space. Your terraforming changes entire worlds. Your genetic medicine lets you live on planets that should kill you. Taemin, the chief negotiator, leaned forward. He had spent months preparing for this moment. You call our technology dangerous, we call it progress. Chancellor Vexmuth's crystal body flashed brighter. Progress without wisdom is destruction. Look at your history. Wars, pollution, extinction of other species on your own world. Now you bring this chaos to the galaxy. That was our past, Admiral Ji-hai said quietly. We learned from our mistakes. Did you? Prime Current Zephyrs swirled faster. Your colonies strip mine asteroids? Your ships ignore our navigation rules. Your people refuse to follow protocols that have kept peace for millennia. Hyun-woo finally spoke. What do you want? Chancellor Vexmuth spread what might have been arms. We want order. We want safety. We want your cooperation. A hologram appeared above the table. It showed the terms of surrender. Hyun-woo read them carefully. His face showed nothing, but inside he felt cold anger growing. You want us to give up our F technology, he said. We will provide transportation for essential needs, Node Prime 7743 replied. You want us to stop terraforming new worlds. The 17 worlds in dispute will be returned to their natural state, Chancellor Vexmuth said. You want us to submit to genetic monitoring. To ensure your modifications do not threaten other species, Prime Current Zephyrs added. And if we refuse? Admiral Ji-hai asked. The room fell silent. Then Chancellor Vexmuth spoke, and his voice carried the weight of 3,000 years of galactic authority. Your worlds will remain blockaded. Your colonies will run out of resources. Your people will starve. Your expansion will end, one way or another. Hyun-woo looked at the document again. Every line was an insult. Every demand was a chain. They wanted to turn humanity into pets. Dependent on alien masters for everything, he thought about Earth where 8 billion people lived free lives. He thought about the colonies where humans had built new homes under alien suns. He thought about the children being born on those worlds, who would grow up as servants if he signed this paper. Taemin leaned close to him. We could negotiate some of the terms, he whispered. Hyun-woo shook his head. There was nothing to negotiate. This was not a treaty between equals. This was slavery with fancy words. He stood up. The alien leaders watched him, expecting him to beg or bargain or make desperate promises. Instead, he said 4 simple words: "We reject your terms." The room exploded in surprised sounds. Crystal chimes, electrical crackling, mechanical buzzing. None of them had expected this. "Entirely," Hyanwu added, just to make it clear. Chancellor Vexmuth's light pulsed rapidly. "You cannot be serious. Your species faces extinction, perhaps," Hyanwu said. "But we will face it as free beings." He picked up the treaty document and set it down without signing it. Then he gathered his papers and put them in his briefcase. "Where are you going?" Prime Current Zephyrs demanded. "Home," Admiral Jihai said, standing up beside him. "You cannot leave," Node Prime 7743's speakers crackled with anger. "We have not finished negotiations." Hyanwu looked at the machine intelligence. "There are no negotiations. You gave us an, ultimatum. We gave you our answer." He walked toward the door. His team followed him. Behind them, alien voices rose in confusion and rage. "You are making a terrible mistake." Chancellor Vexmuth called after them. Hyanwu paused at the doorway. He turned back to look at the 12 species that thought they ruled the galaxy. "Perhaps," he said, "but it will be our mistake to make." The door closed behind them with a soft hiss. In the meeting room, the Galactic Council sat in stunned silence. In 3,000 years, no species had ever simply walked away from them. On the human ships, Hyanwu sat in his cabin and wrote a message to Earth. It was short and simple. "Talks failed. We are coming home. Prepare for isolation." As the human fleet left Station Harmony, 1,000,000 alien eyes watched them go. The Council members felt certain they had just witnessed the beginning of humanity's end. They could not have been more wrong. 3 weeks had passed since the humans walked away from Station Harmony. Chancellor Vexmuth stood in the Council's war room, watching display screens that showed every human world in the galaxy. Red symbols marked the blockade fleets surrounding each planet. "Status report," he commanded. Commander Velkish. A younger Veltar, whose crystal body glowed pale blue, stepped forward. "All human worlds remain cut off, Chancellor. No ships in or out, no communications beyond their local systems." "Any signs of panic? Surrender requests?" Prime Current Zephyrs asked. The gas being swirled in his containment field, electricity dancing through his form. "None, sir." Complete silence. Node Prime 7743 processed this information for exactly 1.7 seconds. Curious. Mathematical models predict human surrender within 47 days of total isolation. Current data suggests miscalculation. Chancellor Vexmuth dismissed the concern. With a wave of his crystalline arm, "They are proud. Pride makes species do foolish things. They will break soon enough." On the human flagship Resilience, Admiral Jihai sat in her command chair reading reports. The ship orbited Earth, but it felt more like a prison than a homecoming. Every human world was trapped behind walls of alien ships. Admiral, Tactical Analyst Yunsu approached with a data tablet. She was young, barely 25, but her mind worked like a computer when it came to military strategy. "I have the latest intel on enemy fleet positions." Jihai took the tablet and studied the patterns. "They are getting sloppy." "Yes, ma'am. 3 weeks ago, their patrol routes were perfect. Now they are taking shortcuts. Some ships are staying in port longer than they should. Overconfidence," Jihai said. "They think we are already beaten?" Across the ship, Subin worked in the intelligence section. She had been gathering information about the alien species for 10 years. Her team intercepted communications, analyzed trade patterns, and studied alien psychology. What she found in the past 3 weeks surprised even her. "Admiral, you need to see this," Subin said over the comm system. I made her way to the intelligence center. Subin stood in front of a wall covered with alien text translations and economic charts. "What am I looking at?" Jihai asked. "Intercepted Council communications," Subin explained. "They are already planning how to divide our territory." The translation scrolled across screens. Chancellor Vexmuth claimed the mineral-rich worlds in the Tau Ceti system. Prime current Zephyrs wanted the gas giant colonies that humans had built floating cities around. Node Prime 7743 calculated the value of human orbital factories. They think we are going to collapse, Jihai said. More than that, they think we are helpless without them. Subin pulled up more files. Look at their assumptions. The data was clear. The Veltar believed humans needed their crystal technology to purify water and air. The Morthic assumed human ships could not navigate deep space without their quantum processors. The architects calculated that human food production required their atmospheric processors to work. They think we are like them, Jai realized. Specialized. Dependent. Exactly. Each council species is very good at one thing, but they need the others to survive. They assume we are the same. On Earth, President Minho stood before the Global Assembly. Representatives from every nation sat in the Great Hall, their faces grim but determined. The president was 60 years old, with gray hair and steady hands. He had led Earth through the colony expansion era. Now he had to lead them through their greatest test. My fellow humans, he began. The aliens believe they can starve us into submission. They believe we will panic without their help. They believe we are weak, he paused, letting his words sink in. They have forgotten who they are dealing with. Our ancestors survived ice ages with nothing but stone tools. They crossed oceans in wooden boats. They reached for the stars with primitive rockets. We did not get this far by depending on others. The assembly erupted in applause, but Minho raised his hand for silence. The blockade is real, the threat is real, but so is our strength. Today, I am authorizing Operation Phoenix. Projects that have been in development for 20 years will now go fully active. In a secret facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Daesung read the president's orders with a mix of excitement and fear. He was the lead scientist on humanity's most classified research program. For 2 decades, his team had worked on technologies that could make humans truly independent. Is it really time? His assistant asked. Daesung looked at the sealed doors that led to laboratories filled with impossible inventions. Faster-than-light communication systems that worked without alien quantum processors, terraforming equipment that could turn dead rocks into garden worlds in months instead of years, manufacturing systems that could build anything from basic atoms. Yes, he said, wake up everything. It is time to show them what humans can really do. On the colony world of New Seoul, Governor So Young received similar orders. Her world had been cut off from Earth for 3 weeks, but her people showed no signs of panic. They had been preparing for this day without knowing it. Activate the deep storage facilities, she commanded. Begin Phase 2 terraforming. And send a message to every human world. The real work begins now. The aliens watching the blockade saw human ships staying close to their planets. They saw no attempts to break through the siege lines. They interpreted this as fear and defeat. They could not see the activity happening beneath the surface of human worlds. They could not detect the underground factories that were expanding every day. They could not understand that humans had spent 2 centuries preparing for the day when they might have to stand alone in the council chambers. Chancellor Vexmuth called for a celebration. The human expansion is ended, he announced. Soon they will beg us for the privilege of serving the Galactic Order. Node Prime 7743 calculated the timeline. 41 days remain until mathematical certainty of human surrender. Prime current. Zephyrs crackled with satisfaction. We should have done this centuries ago. No species should be allowed to grow so fast. None of them noticed the small changes in long-range sensor data. Human energy signatures were not decreasing as expected. Manufacturing indices were not dropping. Most puzzling of all, several human worlds showed signs of expansion rather than contraction, but these changes were small, easy to dismiss as sensor errors or desperate attempts to maintain appearances. The Council was certain of human weakness. Because they could not imagine strength that did not depend on others, they would learn better soon enough. 6 months had passed since the blockade began. In the Galactic Council's Economic Center, financial analysts stared at their screens in confusion. The numbers made no sense. "Run the calculations again," ordered Chief Economist Morthex, a spider-like being with 8 arms and compound eyes. His assistant, a young Veltar named Kickstal, worked frantically at the data console. "Sir, I have run them 12 times. The results are the same." "Show me." The holographic display filled with charts and graphs. According to their models, human worlds should be running out of food by now. Manufacturing should be dropping. Energy production should be failing. Instead, all indicators showed growth. "This cannot be right," Morthex muttered. "Check for data corruption." "I did, sir. The sensors are working perfectly." In deep space, far from any alien sensors, Captain Biorum guided her research ship Discovery through an asteroid field. Her mission was classified at the highest levels. While the aliens watched the blockaded human worlds, she explored the places they could not see. Biorum was 42 years old and had spent half her life in space. She had captained exploration ships, cargo haulers, and scientific vessels. But she had never seen anything like what she found in the hidden sectors of human space. "Captain," called xenobiologist Inho from the sensor station, "you need to see this." Bioram looked at the readings and smiled. "Take us closer." The Discovery approached a world that officially did not exist. According to galactic charts, this system held only dead rocks and frozen gas. But Bioram saw cities, vast farms, industrial complexes that stretched across continents. "How is this possible?" asked Engineer the Jinn. She was the youngest member of the crew, only 24, but she understood technology better than people twice her age. "We have been planning for this day for decades," Bioram explained. "While we traded with the aliens and appeared dependent on them, we were secretly building backup systems for everything." The Discovery landed at a spaceport that had been carved into a mountain. As they walked through the facility, Bioram's team documented everything they saw. Vertical farms rose 30 stories high, producing more food than entire planets back in Council space. Fusion reactors provided unlimited clean energy. Manufacturing plants could build anything from spacecraft to medicine. "The aliens think we are like them," Bioram explained to her documentary crew. "They think we need their crystal purifiers to clean water, their quantum computers to navigate space, their atmospheric processors to grow food. They never understood that we kept learning how to do everything ourselves." In the main administration center, they met Wu Jin, the terraforming engineer who ran this facility. He was a quiet man in his 50s with calloused hands and tired eyes. But when he spoke about his work, his face lit up with pride. "The council species became specialized millions of years ago," Wu Jin explained as he showed them around. "Each one is very good at one thing, but useless at everything else. They are like organs in a body. A heart cannot think. A brain cannot pump blood. They need each other to survive." He led them to an observation deck that looked out over the terraforming operation. Machines the size of skyscrapers moved across the landscape, transforming bare rock into fertile soil. "But we are different," Wu Jin continued. "We are like stem cells. We can become whatever we need to be. Every human colony has the complete knowledge base of our entire civilization. We can build anything, grow anything, fix anything." "Why did we hide this?" the Jinn asked. Wu Jin smiled sadly. "Because if the aliens knew how capable we were, they would never have tried to bargain with us. They would have just attacked us directly." The Discovery continued its secret mission, visiting world after world that showed the same pattern. Humans had not just survived the blockade. They had used it as an opportunity to reveal capabilities they had been hiding for generations on a world called Haven. They found humans who had learned to live in the vacuum of space using only basic protective suits and genetic modifications. On New Kyoto, entire cities floated in the clouds of a gas giant harvesting rare elements from the atmosphere. On Terra Nova, humans had built underground complexes that could support millions of people for centuries without any outside help. We were never as dependent as we seemed, Bioram realized. We just let them think we were. Meanwhile, in another part of space, explorer HFY led the Deep Space Navigation Project. Her job was to push human exploration ships further into uncharted territory than anyone had gone before. What she found there would change everything. "Captain," her navigator called out. "We are picking up energy signatures, artificial ones." HFY studied the readings. "Not human, not council species either." "Should we investigate?" HFY thought about her orders. "Explore, make contact. Learn everything possible about what lay beyond the known galaxy. Take us in." What they found was a space station unlike anything in council records. It was beautiful, made of materials that seemed to shift color in the light. And it was inhabited. The beings who lived there were unlike any species in the Galactic Council. They were small, barely a meter tall, with large eyes and delicate features. They communicated through music and mathematics. Their technology was based on harmony rather than domination. "We are the Melody Keepers," their leader sang to HFY. "We have watched the galaxy for eons, but we do not interfere." To Council. "Rules through fear. We choose a different path." "Why are you telling us this?" HFY asked. "Because you are the first species to find us that does not immediately try to conquer or control. You ask questions instead of making demands. You seek understanding instead of submission." Over the following weeks, HFY learned that the galaxy was much larger and more diverse than anyone realized. Beyond the Council's territory, dozens of species lived free lives. Some were ancient civilizations that had learned to hide from aggressive neighbors. Others were young races that had developed in isolation. All of them had been watching humanity with interest. "The Council believes they rule the galaxy," the Melody Keeper explained. "But they only control a small part of it. The rest of us learned long ago to avoid them. Would you be willing to make contact with other humans?" HFY asked. The musical reply was complex, but the meaning was clear. "We have been waiting for someone to ask." Back in Council space, the blockade continued. Alien ships surrounded human worlds, their crews growing bored and complacent. They saw no signs of panic or desperation from the humans below. Some junior officers began to wonder if their mission was even necessary, but their commanders remained confident. Mathematical models proved that human society would collapse soon. It was just a matter of time. They had no idea that time was running out for them, instead in hidden bases and secret facilities. On worlds that did not officially exist, humanity was preparing for the day when the galaxy would learn what humans were really capable of. The blockade had not weakened them. It had freed them to show their true strength. The quiet revolution was almost complete. 1 year after the peace talks collapsed, Chancellor Vexmuth stood in the Council's emergency session chamber. The crystal being's body flickered with anxiety as reports poured in from across the galaxy. Something was very wrong. "The humans have broken the blockade?" he asked, his voice carrying harmonics of disbelief. Commander Velkish's young crystal form pulsed with embarrassment. "Not broken, sir. Bypassed. Our long-range sensors detect massive human expansion into sectors we did not know existed. Prime." Current Zephy's crackled with anger in his containment field. "Impossible. We monitor all jump points. No human ship has left their territories." "That is correct, sir. No ships left. But somehow, humans are building colonies in 17 new star systems beyond our sensor range. Node Prime 7743 processed this information for 3.2 seconds. Insufficient. Data, request detailed analysis." The holographic display filled with disturbing images. Human cities on worlds that should have been uninhabitable. Massive space stations and systems that were supposedly empty. Industrial complexes that rivaled anything the Council had built in 3,000 years. "How long has this been happening?" Chancellor Vexmuth demanded. "Unknown, sir. These facilities appear to be established, not new construction." The chamber fell silent. In 3,000 years of galactic dominance, the Council had never encountered a situation like this. Species either submitted to their authority or were destroyed. They did not simply vanish and reappear stronger than before. Sir, Velkish continued nervously, there is more. 3 of our client species have been detected trading with human settlements. Prime Current Zephys' electrical field sparked violently. Which species dare to defy our blockade? The depth swimmers from the aquatic worlds. The collective from the hive systems and ... the Star Wanderers. Chancellor Vexmouth's crystal body went completely dark for a moment. The Star Wanderers were nomads who traveled between stars in generation ships. They have remained neutral in galactic politics for centuries. If they were choosing sides, it meant something fundamental had changed. At Station Harmony, traffic controllers watched their screens in amazement. A human ship was approaching. Not a desperate messenger begging for mercy, but a formal diplomatic vessel requesting permission to dock. Should we deny them entry? The controller asked. No, came the reply from the council chambers. Let them come. We will hear what they have to say. The human ship that docked was unlike anything the aliens had seen before. It moved without visible engines, its hull seeming to bend light around it. The metal appeared to shift and flow like liquid while maintaining perfect structural integrity. Ambassador Geneseo stepped out of the airlock wearing a simple gray uniform. He was younger than his predecessor Haiyan Wu, perhaps 35, but he carried himself with quiet confidence. Behind him came Admiral Sujin, a woman whose calm eyes missed nothing. The meeting room was the same one where humans had walked away a year ago. But now the dynamics had completely changed. The aliens sat in their designated spots, but they no longer radiated certainty and control. Ambassador Geneseo, Chancellor Vexmouth began, trying to sound authoritative, we are ... dies the humanity has decided to resume negotiations. Geneseo smiled politely. I am afraid there has been a misunderstanding, Chancellor. We are not here to resume anything. We are here to begin something new. He placed a data crystal on the table. These are our terms. Prime Current Zephys crackled with outrage. Your terms? You are in no position to make demands. Admiral Sujin spoke for the first time. Her voice was soft but carried the weight of absolute certainty. With respect, Prime Current, we are in the only position that matters. We hold the advantage. Node Prime 7743's mechanical voice carried a note of curiosity. Explain this perceived advantage. Geneseo activated the data crystal. The holographic display filled with information that made the alien leaders lean forward in shock. Human space has expanded by 300% in the past year, Geneseo explained calmly. Our industrial capacity now exceeds that of any single council species. Our population has grown to 12 billion across 47 worlds. Impossible, Chancellor Vexmouth said, but his voice lacked conviction. Our technology has advanced significantly during our isolation, Admiral Sujin added. We no longer require any council resources or services. We are completely self-sufficient. Young Ho, the human military strategist, stepped forward with additional displays. He was a quiet man who spoke in numbers and facts rather than emotions. Furthermore, Young Ho said, we have established diplomatic contact with 43 species beyond council space. Many of them have capabilities that your databases do not recognize. The tactical projections showed human ships moving freely through space that the council had never explored. Trade routes connected human worlds to alien civilizations that had remained hidden for millennia. The Melody Keepers have shared their harmonic propulsion technology, Geneseo continued. The depth swimmers have taught us to extract resources from ocean worlds. The Star Wanderers have provided navigation data for regions beyond your maps. Chancellor Vexmouth's crystal form flickered rapidly. These species are primitives, uncontacted savages, are they? Admiral Sujin asked. The Melody Keepers developed faster-than-light travel 3 million years ago. The deep swimmers have lived in perfect ecological balance for 2 million years. The Star Wanderers have been exploring the galaxy since before your species left their homeworld. She paused, letting that information sink in. You called them primitive because they did not seek to dominate others. We call them wise for the same reason. Explorer Nara entered the room with a final data package. She had spent months mapping the far reaches of the galaxy, documenting civilizations that the Council had never imagined. 17 previously unknown species have formally requested to join the human coalition, Nara reported. They represent combined populations of over 50 billion beings and industrial capacity equivalent to the entire Council. Prime current. Zephyr swirled violently in his containment field. You cannot simply create a new galactic order. We are not creating anything, Genesio replied. We are revealing what already existed. The galaxy is much larger and more diverse than you realized. You controlled one small part of it and assumed you controlled everything, Node Prime 7743 calculated rapidly. Military implications require assessment. Human fleet strength estimate requested. Young Ho smiled for the first time since entering the room. We prefer not to discuss military matters, Node Prime. But if you insist on numbers, our current fleet consists of 3,000 vessels using technology you cannot match or counter. 3,000? Chancellor Vexmuth's voice rose to harmonics that hurt human ears. Your entire fleet consisted of 200 ships. That was the fleet you were allowed to see, Admiral Sujen corrected. We have been building in secret for decades. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. For a full year, the Council had been congratulating themselves on trapping humanity behind their blockade. In reality, they had been watching a tiny fraction of human civilization, while the rest grew stronger beyond their sight. What do you want? Prime Current Zephyr finally asked, his electrical field dim with defeat. Genesio consulted his notes. Immediate cessation of the blockade, formal apologies for the economic warfare, reparations for damages incurred, and recognition of the new galactic community as an equal partner in all future negotiations. And if we refuse? Chancellor Vexmuth asked, though his voice carried no real defiance. Admiral Sujen looked at him with something that might have been pity. Then you remain isolated while the rest of the galaxy moves forward without you. Your choice, Chancellor. The three council leaders looked at each other. For 3,000 years they had been the arbiters of galactic civilization. Now they faced a simple choice: adapt or become irrelevant. The age of human dominance had not begun with conquest or threats. It had begun with a quiet revolution that changed everything while no one was looking. 2 years after humans walked away from peace talks, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. The old council chambers on Station Harmony stood empty, gathering dust. In their place, a magnificent new structure called New Harmony Station orbited. A binary star system that had been chosen for its symbolic meaning. 2 different suns sharing the same space in perfect balance. Secretary General Kyung Min stood at the observation deck of the new station, watching ships from 67 different species dock at the ports below. She had been elected as the first human leader of the expanded galactic community 6 months ago. It still felt strange to hold such responsibility. The morning briefings are ready, Secretary General? Her aide informed her. Kyung Min nodded and made her way to the conference room. The daily meetings included representatives from dozens of worlds, but today's session was special. Today, they would vote on the membership applications of the 3 original Council species. Chancellor Vexmuth entered the room first, the proud crystal being who had once demanded human surrender now walked with humble steps. His body's light was dim, respectful. Behind him came Prime Current Zephyr, his electrical field carefully contained so as not to interfere with the station systems. Node Prime 7743 rolled in last, its mechanical body updated with new protocols for peaceful cooperation. Chancellor Vexmuth, Kyung Min said formally. Prime Current Zephyr. Node Prime 7743, welcome to New Harmony Station. Thank you, Secretary General, Chancellor Vexmuth replied. His voice no longer carried the harmonics of command. We are honored by your consideration of our applications. The irony was not lost on anyone in the room. 3 years ago, these beings had tried to force humanity into submission. Now they were asking permission to join the community that humans had built. The vote was conducted in the traditional human way. Each species had one voice, regardless of size or power. The melody keepers sang their approval in harmonics that made the station ring like a bell. The depth swimmers voted through chemical signals that filled their water-filled section with bioluminescent patterns. The star wanderers cast their ballots, using mathematical equations projected in space. "The motion passes," Kyungmin announced. "Welcome to the galactic community." There was no cheering or celebration. The moment was too solemn for that. Instead, representatives from across the galaxy stood in respectful silence as 3 former tyrants became equal members of a free society. After the ceremony, Ambassador Dong Hyen prepared for his evening address. As Earth's first galactic ambassador, he had the honor of speaking at the official opening of New Harmony Station. Representatives from 1,000 worlds would hear his words. BROADCAST across space to billions of beings. Dong Hyen was an older man in his 60s with gray hair and kind eyes. He had spent his career studying alien cultures and languages. Now he had the chance to address them all as friends rather than adversaries. "Citizens of the galaxy," he began, his words transmitted in 67 different languages simultaneously. 2 years ago, humanity faced a choice. We could surrender our freedom for the promise of security, or we could walk away into an uncertain future. The great assembly hall fell silent. Beings of every shape and size listened to words that would echo through history. We chose freedom. Not because we wanted to be your enemies, but because we wanted to be your partners. The difference is that partnership requires respect, and respect cannot be demanded. It must be earned. He paused, looking out at the diverse audience. For 3,000 years, the galaxy was ruled by the idea that might makes right. The strongest species dominated the weakest. Technology was hoarded rather than shared. Cooperation was enforced through fear rather than chosen through friendship. In the audience, Chancellor Vexmoth's crystal body flickered with what might have been shame. He remembered the arrogance with which he had presented humanity with their ultimatum. He had been so certain of his superiority, so confident in his right to rule others. "Today, we begin a new era," Dong Hyen continued. "An era where diversity is celebrated rather than suppressed, where innovation is shared rather than restricted, where every species, no matter how small or different, has a voice in their own destiny." The applause that followed was unlike anything heard in galactic history. It was not the polite clapping of diplomatic protocol, but the genuine enthusiasm of beings who finally felt free. In the months that followed, the new galactic order proved itself through action rather than words. When the agricultural worlds of the grain singers faced crop failure due to solar flares, human terraforming experts worked alongside Melody Keeper, harmonics specialists, to restore the damaged ecosystem in weeks rather than years. When the deep space mining operations of the rock breakers encountered dangerous radiation fields, depth swimmer biofilters combined with council crystal technology to create safe working conditions. When the Star Wanderers discovered a new species in the galactic rim, human diplomats worked with former council negotiators to make first contact without intimidation or threats. "This is how it should have always been," Prime Current Zephyrs admitted during one of these joint missions. His electrical field pulsed with something that might have been regret. "We spent so much energy maintaining control that we forgot the joy of simply helping others." The economic benefits of cooperation became obvious quickly. Trade between species increased by 400% in the first year. Technological advancement accelerated as ideas flowed freely between worlds. Scientific discoveries that would have taken decades under the old system happened in months. But the greatest change was in the spirit of galactic civilization itself. Fear gave way to curiosity. Suspicion was replaced by trust. Competition evolved into collaboration. Historian HFY spent her days documenting these changes for future generations. Her task was to record how the galaxy had transformed from a collection of isolated, suspicious species into a true community of friends. "The council species were not evil," she wrote in her final report. "They were afraid. For millions of years, they had survived by being stronger than their enemies. They could not imagine a galaxy where strength came from friendship rather than domination. She paused in her writing to look out at New Harmony Station's central plaza, where beings from dozens of worlds worked and played together. Human children chased Melody Keeper younglings through gardens tended by depth swimmer agriculturalists. Council species shared their ancient knowledge freely while learning new ways of thinking from younger civilizations. Humanity's greatest contribution to galactic civilization was not our technology or our military might, continued writing. It was our simple refusal to accept that things had to remain as they always were. We walked away from an unjust peace and discovered a just community. The transformation was not without challenges. Some species struggled to adapt to equality. After millions of years of hierarchy, others had difficulty trusting former enemies. But progress continued, step by step, world by world. On the 5th anniversary of the failed peace talks, former Chancellor Vexmuth requested a private meeting with Secretary General Kyungmin. They met in the same observation lounge where the human delegation had once planned their dramatic departure. I have been thinking about that day, Vexmuth said, his crystal form glowing softly. When your predecessor walked away from our ultimatum. What about it? Kyungmin asked. I was so angry. So certain that you were making a terrible mistake. I could not understand how you could choose uncertainty over security. He paused, looking out at the bustling activity of New Harmony Station. Now, I realize that you were not choosing uncertainty. You were choosing possibility. The possibility that the galaxy could be better than it was. Kyung-min smiled. And what do you think now? Vexmuth's light pulsed with something that might have been wonder. I think the galaxy is indeed better. Not perfect, but better, and getting better every day. As night fell over New Harmony Station, beings from across the galaxy returned to their quarters. Some would sleep in beds like humans. Others would rest in crystalline matrices or electrical fields or harmonic chambers. But all would wake to a galaxy where freedom and friendship were not impossible dreams. But everyday realities, the age of human ascendancy, had not begun with conquest or threats. It had begun with the simple courage to say no to injustice and walk away into a better future. And in doing so, humanity had not just freed themselves. They had freed the galaxy itself.